In our news bulletin for this evening, the Health Department has received results for blood tests sent to New Zealand for the first suspected chikungunya case on the island. Premier Toke Tahalangi has extended his overseas leave to return at the end of this month. Engineers from Australia work to renew 2 towers at the newer meteorological service as part of a maintenance for a network of weather stations. An individual personal challenge helped mark a milestone by swimming 10 kilometres from Namukulu to Alofi. Results have been received for tests sent by the Niue Health Department to New Zealand regarding a suspected chikungunya case on the island over a week ago. Public health officials have been vigilant since the suspected case became apparent, with airport checks to monitor incoming passengers and also starting their mosquito vector control spraying programs. Since confirmation of these results were received, the Health Department and the task force have taken several actions necessary to respond and prevent any further spread of mosquito-borne diseases.
Yesterday, the Health Department received the results of the blood tests, and it also confirmed the blood tests that we did here in Niue. Firstly, when the blood test for dengue fever, that was negative, and also the blood test for the Zika virus, it was negative. The blood test for chikungunya was positive, and that was the results from New Zealand. So on receipt of that information, of the confirmation of that, it also went according our actions, the actions been taken by the team in health following the receipt of the case was on the basis of the chikungunya-like disease. So everything that has been executed was based on that.
Since receiving the results, health officials have also met with the family involved, and ministers and cabinet have also been briefed on the situation. A health bulletin will also be released to keep the public informed of what is happening. Notifications received from Samoa indicate that since July of last year up until January this year, they have had 4,431 confirmed cases of chikungunya that have presented to the hospital. In Tonga, there is a dengue outbreak with about 33 confirmed cases in a 1-month period. It is important to note that these diseases like dengue, Zika or chikungunya are not spread by touch but by mosquito bites, and therefore the caution to the public is to assist with removing all potential breeding places of mosquitoes to minimize risks. In addition, people should also present to the hospital if they feel unwell or experience symptoms that include fever and aching body or joints, especially within the first 2 weeks.
The important part of all this is that we are also thankful for those people who had fever and body pains that has come forward to the hospital. The hospital over the weekend had 2 cases, and I believe 1 was admitted and was released. Blood tests confirmed they don't have dengue, but they were well. So we welcome this response because this is what we needed to do. Also very important in our observation and monitoring, the 14 days of the incubation period that we were monitoring in the last weekend. So to date, very, very thankful that no other members of the family or those who we believe may have been in contact with the case over this 14 days. So that is a good sign, but that is not all. We are still working with the general public and village councils to continue with our mosquito breeding places eradication program. The spraying program is going well, and we're very happy also of the response from the people, that the spraying program is spraying very, very effectively to all the more areas than they normally do before. That we will continue to work with all with the whole island on this, and we will not be complacent. We are still continuing to work with the countries that have this disease and also the further blood tests will be done by WHO because of the severity of the case.
No travel restrictions have been issued by government, but they continue to ask that people take care when travelling to any countries who have any confirmed cases. Premier Tokatalangi has extended his leave of absence from office with a tentative return at the end of the month. Initially, Premier Talangi was on overseas travel from the 10th to the 24th of January. According to the Secretary to Government, Richard Hipper, as the chair of the Polynesian Leaders Group, Premier Talangi had arranged a special PRG meeting in Auckland to discuss important developments in the Pacific, one including fisheries, where Premier has to report back to the leaders on fisheries developments, and for other key fisheries personnel to make presentations. Whilst in New Zealand, Premier Talangi is also undertaking some necessary medical checks. In his absence, responsibility for his portfolios for Cabinet and Legislative, the Police, Crown Law and the commercial and trading arms of government has been allocated to Upili Talafasi, and the acting Premier is Honourable Poto Asipili. Premier Tokatalangi is expected to return on the 28th of February. Engineers are working this week to conduct maintenance work to replace and renew parts of 2 tower stations at the newer Meteorological Service grounds at Whanuakula. This equipment was set up 10 years ago and funded by the Australian government as part of a wider network. We spoke to a consultant engineer from the Australian Bureau of Meteorology to find out how work was progressing.
We have a network of these stations from Niue, one in New Zealand, throughout Australia. There's one in Cocos Islands in the Indian Ocean and some in the Antarctic bases. So my job is basically to travel around, install and maintain these stations. This is the instrument is called an ionosonde. It's a kind of vertical incidence radar. It transmits a radio pulse vertically into the atmosphere, and then what's echoed off the ionised layer of the atmosphere, which is the layer from 800 to, or 80 to 800 kilometres, and the instrument just gives a profile of the ionised layer. And the Australian government uses this to support HF radio communications. So this is in support of radio communications in the Western Pacific. As we've taken the towers down, we've replaced a lot of the important structural parts because the towers have now been up for 10 years. So, due to the corrosive atmosphere out here, it's important that we maintain them in good condition. So we've taken them right down, replacing a lot of the important components, and now we're just about ready to put them back up.
Mr. Hyde says a survey of equipment done 2 years ago made it clear that repairs needed to be done due to deterioration. The team has been working closely with the Niue Met Service staff and counterparts on the island.
I really appreciate the support of the Niue government and the Niue Met Service. You know, they've been tremendous in hosting the equipment, and while I'm not here, when things go wrong, we get the staff at the Niue Meteorological Office to do sort of first-in checks for us, and they've actually at a point now where they have enough experience that they've been able to fault find a little bit for us. So yeah, the Niue Met Service has been tremendous support for us.
Once work on the station in Niue is complete, they're looking to move on to work on another station in Norfolk Island. A personal challenge and a life milestone was marked last Friday with an individual completing 10 kilometres swim from Namukulu to Alofi. Patrick Brady, or Petu as he is known to locals, is no stranger to the island, having worked for DAF as a volunteer years ago. He managed to accomplish a lifelong goal to swim unaccompanied. An avid sportsman who has been involved in a few triathlons and sporting activities, he is currently on the island for a vacation with his family. It took Petu approximately 3 hours and 38 minutes to swim from Namukulu Ramp to Sir Robert's Wharf in Alofi. He says the motive behind the 10-kilometre open swim was in honour of his parents and in memory of his late mother-in-law, as well as family on the island who have supported him along this way. He also said that is also to strengthen his relationship with God. Petu is married to a Niuean woman and has 3 children. The family try to visit frequently, but it is a long way from Niue to Kazakhstan. Mr. Brady and his family are due to depart at the end of the month, but only time will tell what the next big challenge will be. That concludes our news bulletin for this evening and for this week. We do hope that you can join us again for our next news bulletin next week.